Preparing the live stream. Redirecting to YouTube. And we live. Live stream. All right, turn that down. All right, cool. Ready. This is the place where sports opinions collide, dead in sports. I'm your host, Kenneth B. Inge. Joining me, sorry, I just saw a breaking news thing about sports. This is the place where sports opinions collide, dead in sports. I'm your host, Kenneth B. Inge. Joining me, as usual, virtually, we got Shelton J from the Black Korea podcast.
Hey, what's happening?
We got, I don't even know what to call them, man. The dynamic duo, man. Been giving you all kind of battles and stuff on IG Live, Bees, Twitch, everything, man. Trying to get y'all through this self-isolation. We got BZ4 30 and FIFO 2020 or FIFO Corona.
right. You might well call that shit FIFO Corona because the 2020 put that shit. Throw that shit in the trash.
Yeah, I'm gonna revert back to 24/7, man. It's just people all day, every day, man.
Yeah. And then we got the man that I think sent the coronavirus to James Dolan. You see him with that?
That's what I thought.
That's right, because he got the Knicks background too.
Boys is watching nowadays. Don't put that on me.
Hey, real quick, man. Well, I'll text you. But look, we here, man. We sorry we missed last week. But we definitely didn't want to go much longer without giving you guys a show. So we're back. We're early. We're doing a lot of virtual recording, so our time and schedule may be a little bit off until we get back in sync. But nevertheless, we're here. We got a lot to talk about. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and just jump into it. So Nick.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about, but I think NFL free agency is the biggest thing, especially about Brady. And I don't want to bury the lead, but I don't think I've gotten y'all reactions as far as Brady to the Bucks. Just overall thoughts on that period. I would like to hear from y'all.
So my thing is with the whole Brady to Bucks thing, do you think the Bucks organization gave him what he asked for as far as like he want control of the offense and he want like the control like who plays, who comes there, like almost kind of like being a GM/player almost? Did they offer him that? Do y'all think they offered him that?
I think it's part of the conversation. I think it has to be part of the conversation because you're talking about arguably the best quarterback to ever play. And if you want him, even though he old as hell.
I was about to say, at 42, 43.
But look, we know Bruce Arians is an offensive guru. Like yes, he's going to work with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's going to have a lot of input. I want to say, wasn't Bruce Arians part of the Patriot thing, or don't they have ties or something?
I think so, which is why I think which is why going to Tampa kind of made somewhat of a sense because it was like, well, you go there.
And we've seen Bruce Arians work with all types of quarterbacks. Remember a couple years ago when I said that they should have got rid of Chuck Pagano with the Colts and just keep.
Yeah, I remember. We all thought that. Crazy.
And I know it was a little controversial, but I know I was right. You know, like come on, man, look at Jameis. There's only been, I think, 5 quarterbacks to throw for 5,000 yards in a season, and he's one. Jameis Winston is one of those 5. Come on, man. Even though he had a 30 for 30 this year, which isn't good, but going back to what B was saying, yes, I think Bruce Arians and Tom Brady have had that conversation about who we want to add, which is why we already seen the whole Antonio Brown thing. Like Bruce Arians already addressed that. No, he's not going to be a good fit. He already addressed that because I think Tom Brady is definitely capable for Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and I think that Tom Brady. I just read today. Tom Brady pitched himself to Tampa Bay. So in saying that, he has a say-so, but he's not the ultimate say. So I think that they will consult with him based off his knowledge and who he is, but he doesn't have like ultimate final say.
Nah, but if you look at all of the top quarterback head coach pairings, you got to be on the same page. You know what I'm saying? When you watch Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid goes over there, hey, you know, how you feeling? You like this? Do you not like that? You see it all the time with Champagne and Drew Brees. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have those top quarterback head coaches combo. You have to have that.
Well,
and I think Bruce Arians and Tom Brady will have that.
Yeah, I think I don't think he even needs full control or GM responsibilities or whatever, because they already got everything. Like, it's clear the Buccaneers are looking to try to win in the next 2 years versus long term. And I think their future as an organization was already up in the air anyway, because they were undecided on what to do with Jameis Winston moving forward. And Tom Brady, as Shelton and just reached out, was like, yo, like, I would be interested in coming to play for you guys. And I think now you see like everything that's been going on. Like I've been following this whole thing because Jameis Winston was interesting to me in terms of what they were going to do. First, they were in love with him. Then Bruce Arians came out and he started talking a lot of shit about Winston, rightfully so. And he didn't commit. And I don't know if through back channels or whatnot, he heard rumors that Brady may be interested, or he just wanted to see what was on the open market. And it turns out you got one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in NFL history knocking on your door.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I didn't think that I heard Tampa Bay was in the run, but to be honest, I was leaning more towards the San Francisco news than Tampa as far as a possible destination. I know I didn't even think Tampa was really in the running as far as trying to compete for a title now. Like, I thought they were just going to do like a soft rebuild because all they were really missing was a quarterback. Obviously, like, if Jameis can throw for 5,000 yards, then that means if you get a quarterback that Bruce Arians likes or that he wants, then you probably can go a little bit further than that, maybe even to the playoffs. But to make this type of signing and then have now these expectations, it just seems like it's moving a little too fast for you. Now, while I'm saying that they have a stacked roster as far as pretty much on all sides of the ball, and Bruce Arians is a coach that clearly knows how to deal with veterans and turning their career around. That's what he did with Carson Palmer, at least. So I'm interested to see what's going on, but I definitely was shocked by Brady signing. And as far as how much control he has, I think it may be as much as he had in New England, which is you have a voice, but we still make final calls here on our own.
You know what? Go ahead,
no. I was just going to say, like, I think you and I were kind of on the opposite. I know the Bucs came in late, and I saw the rumors and the rumblings about it. I didn't believe San Francisco, even though I heard that there was some interest there, but they ultimately decided to look long-term instead of short-term. But I didn't think San Francisco was even a real scenario. I thought it was just something that the media would love to throw out there just to have something to talk about, really.
Yeah. It looked good on paper.
Yeah.
What it was. But I think ultimately he knew where he was going to go for a long time. Coach, we look at the teams and the rosters. That was important, but the fit was with the coach as well. That was just as important for him.
But I saw that there were not a lot of teams ringing his phone.
Yeah, it was only going to be a handful of teams, though, Ken. Like, we knew that it was going to be the rosters that were going to be championship level with talent, right? And I want to go back to something that Nick said. Like, now we have all of these expectations around the Bucs. They should have those expectations, because when you look at the offense, and also I want to say, don't quote me, I know I'm not 100% right on this stat that I'm about to put out there, but I want to say the Bucs lost the most games by single-digit points, and when you factor in Jameis Winston turned over the ball over 40 times last season, bro, that they could have won the division. You know what I'm saying? So I think that if you're a division winner, you have that bye, and you have somebody like Tom Brady that always comes back. He's always been the underdog, right? Like, everybody's always written him off, and he always overcomes. And now we have one of the best quarterback gurus as his head coach, arguably the most talented roster, top to bottom, that he's ever had. Bro, like yes, it is championship. That is the expectation.
Is that realistic?
Helps out because
yes, it is realistic. Why is it not realistic?
Because, again, they didn't even make the playoffs last year, and now you're expecting them to possibly contend for
40 turnovers. 40 turnovers, bro.
That's huge.
What about Brady? Brady don't turn the ball over? The last time I seen Brady, he turned the ball over.
Not like that.
Not like what? That was against the Titans. He's facing a stiffer defense probably in that division alone.
What was his turnover last year?
Here's the thing. Tom Brady ain't going to throw more than 15 interceptions.
We say that based off of you based it off of the past. I'm talking about Tom Brady now. He's an old school QB from today's NFL is working. So tell me again, like that's why I'm like, I know you have high expectations. Everybody does when you hear Tom Brady's name. He's arguably the greatest quarterback of all time. So of course you're gonna have expectations, but at the same time, we also got to taper that because that whole conference is hard, let alone his own division. No, you got to win your division first before you talk about any title.
No, 100%. And I even posted in our group chat that I think that the NFC South is going to be the toughest division, top to bottom. Bro, look at what the Falcons have done. You already know how I feel about Georgia's team, so I'm not going to get all the way into it. I've been hyped on the damn Falcons, and it let me down.
We're going to get to them.
But they've made changes. We already know Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Those two together, you're going to be competitive. Now, Tom Brady with this roster, obviously Carolina is the one team that's kind of lacking, compared to the other three teams. But come on, man, we're talking about arguably the most firepower offensively in all of football in terms of a division. Tom Brady could definitely, he could still sling that thing. Like, I'm not saying that he is elite arm talent anymore. He's not that. But what you cannot take away and we cannot underestimate is what's between the noggin, man. What's inside of that noggin of his.
Right.
He has the most championship experience out of any player ever. That you can't underestimate. That is going to get them to the playoffs. I'm not even saying that they're going to win the division. It's a tough offensive division. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl. What I am saying is when you upgrade the most important position by that much, because he may not throw for 5,000 yards. He may not even throw for 30 touchdowns, but he's not going to throw for 30 interceptions, and he's not going to throw the ball 12 times.
Just so you know, he had 24 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last year, and he's playing with 2 Pro Bowl receivers this year. So he already upgraded what he had with this new team. So we'll just have to see what he does. I mean, yeah, he's not his old self, but 24-8 is pretty good for anybody.
Right. And so, and like you mentioned, Sheldon, especially with the weapons that he had this past season in New England, you upgrade that big time with them receivers and tight ends and running back that you got there. So that's going to really be interesting. I think that's why a lot of people like really people jumping off the wall saying, oh, this is going to be, Super Bowl contending team. It's because they're looking at like what he had this previous season compared to what he's walking into now. But I'm still like a wait and see and just seeing what he's gonna do. I'm interested to see how he's gonna play with these receivers because I know they happy as hell. Like I know they happy.
I would be.
Well, a bigger part of his success last season was that defense. And for me, looking at Tampa Bay, their defense still needs to be more like it has to drastically improve. Especially talking about championship aspirations or even just contending, especially in that conference.
They got to address that in the draft, man.
I mean, they can try, but those are
highly ranked defense, though. That defense wasn't bad last year.
I don't think that defense is going to be. It was not as good as that New England defense is.
Yeah, that's tough.
So, and that won them a lot of games, defense and special teams. So again, like I'm tapering my expectations. If they win the division, I'll be surprised by that, especially with how New Orleans has been running that division for the last few years. So we'll see how it goes, but I don't know about Tom Brady. I think this is Jordan and the Wizards.
You know what, Nick? I'm kind of with you on that defense, and I know there's been a lot of talk about how that defense improved. They DVOA was top 5 last year, and I know as the season progressed, they played better in the second half of the season. But from what I remember, they were giving up points left and right last year and the year before. So they didn't have
that Giants game to Daniel Jones. They gave up almost 50 points.
Yeah, so I know the defensive coordinator Todd Bowles eventually got them together, and I think that's where Jameis's turnovers really became even more critical than they were earlier in the season because the games were close. But from what I can remember, and I can do fact check. I can fact check myself now since I'm at a computer. That defense wasn't all that great to start the season, but we'll see.
Sticking in that division, FIFO, you brought up the Atlanta Falcons. They've been making some moves too, especially bringing one of y'all own back home, I guess, so to speak, with Todd Gurley. Well, speaking of that, Todd Gurley himself got cut from the Rams. Was y'all expecting that at all?
Well, I didn't think that they were going to be able to trade him because wasn't nobody going to give him, a top 5, a top 5 round draft pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with that being said, we know the NFL is cutthroat when it comes to that, especially with people that's been injured. So it didn't really surprise me like that. Because here's the thing: if they would have been able to trade him, they would have been traded him, and it didn't happen.
And you talking about last season or even the season before?
All of it. Once he stopped getting the amount of carries and being on the field, the amount of possessions that he was on the field, and we saw that being reduced, that's how I knew. That's when I knew, okay, they can't trade him. And here's the thing: I don't think that it was the player, right? Because I think that there's teams that would have taken him. It was the money. It was that contract he signed.
That contract is albatross.
Luckily for him, he got paid before all this happened, because otherwise he would have been worse than Melvin Gordon right now. So I'm happy he got paid. It still felt like there was a lot left on the field for him in LA, especially for all that, how big and important he was during the Super Bowl run. He was damn near MVP candidate, or he won the MVP. But seeing him now with the Falcons, going back to what you were saying as far as like FIFA, like him not even being a worthy of a top 5 pick or like a top, first 3-4 rounds, how does that say about his addition to the Falcons?
Well, they got rid of Devontae Freeman, so that's an upgrade.
A younger version of him.
I mean, a little bit better. I mean, there was little wear and tear on him last year. We heard all the reports about how bad his knee was. It's not going to get any better from what they're saying. But I kind of, just to circle back, was a little surprised that they actually did cut him. And one of the things that popped in my head was that this is why they got to fight for this guaranteed money, because they wear these guys down and then don't want to pay them. So
talking about the running backs, right?
Yeah, the running backs.
Yeah.
Now imagine if he didn't get paid and most of that money wasn't guaranteed, he would be left holding the bag. So I like that happened for him.
You know what, Ken? There's
There's
a byproduct to that, though, because what's going to happen now, we're going to see good or great or exceptional young running backs get franchise tag and may not sign big deals with their current teams. They may need to go to other teams or sign shorter deals. Like I think the Todd Gurley situation, you know how we had like a D Rose rule in the NBA where, you make one all-star game, your first team or second team, whatever, you can sign like a super max early. Oh, it's going to be the opposite in the NFL. There's going to be a Todd Gurley rule where for running backs, they have 2-3 good years, we ain't paying you. We're going to let you walk and draft another one.
Yeah, and if you look at what the Rams did last year, they drafted 2 running backs, I think, that didn't prove to do much. They got an opportunity last year, but nevertheless, they tried to protect themselves. And they didn't give Gurley a lot of carries until they needed Gurley to get a lot of carries once they found out that golf wasn't really about much. And when he couldn't rescue him, then they tried to go to Gurley. But looking ahead to seeing how he's going to play with the Falcons, I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out fine, man. I think I like the fact that they got a talented running back there, and they brought him home, man. This is where he's at. So we'll see if he got anything left in the tank and how bad that need really is.
We'll see when he get a chance to redeem himself.
I like the story that I heard that Julio was a big part of bringing him home. As far as like, as soon as he heard that he was let go, he hit him up, and I forgot who else was with him, but they went to go talk to him and be like, hey, bro, you might as well slide with us. Because I think Gurley was even looking at Atlanta as far as a place he could go and maybe, for a second half of his career. So it'll be interesting to see how they use him. I just think that by names and personalities alone, it seems like the Falcons offensively should be top 5.
11 first rounders. It's never happened ever in NFL history to have your entire starting offense be first round picks. That's crazy in itself. Here's the thing. This is the reason why I do like Todd Gurley with the Falcons. What they're going to ask him to do is nowhere near what the Rams asked him to do, right? The Rams needed him to establish the run every game, so that way it sets up the play action and everything for Jared Goff and all of it. Because remember, they didn't necessarily have a number one wide receiver. They had who's the little short guy out there? I can't.
You talking about Cooper Kupp?
No, the other one.
Brandon Cooks.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's a slot guy, outside burner type guy. Cooper Kupp is nice. I just think he's like a bigger Wes Welker. But they didn't have like that dominant receiver, right? And the way that offense was a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of stretches for Todd Gurley. But Todd Gurley in his heyday was getting 25, 30 carries, 30-some carries a game. Plus, he was involved in the passing game. I think with Atlanta, he's going to get the Devontae Freeman treatment. I think he's going to get anywhere between 10 to 18 carries on a good game. They're going to ask him to block a lot. Because now with the addition of Hayden Hurst, bro, like you have Calvin Ridley, Julio, and Hayden Hurst. You know what I'm saying? The defense is going to be keyed in on them. Hayden Hurst from the Ravens.
Oh,
they traded a second round and a fifth round for.
Oh, they got him. Okay.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy.
Man, Ryan's sitting pretty right now.
Sitting pretty,
yeah.
and we know this for a fact. Todd Gurley is one of the best blocking running backs in the NFL.
Yeah.
So because of that, it gives the Falcon offense so much versatility, and you don't have to wear him down. Like he does not have to carry the ball that much. He could be a decoy. And he's going to be an amazing decoy because, like you said, Nick, I still think he has gas left in the tank. It ain't full no more, but he still got gas in that tank.
Yeah, you can run some errands with him, but you can't go on a road trip.
Nah, buddy.
But I think I mean, I don't know. At this point, to me, the Falcons, I have more expectations for the Falcons than I do have for the Bucks. So,
wow.
Because of all the stuff they got. I mean, they also signed Dante Fowler to a big contract too for that defense. So you can tell they're going all in and they pushing their chips in. But I still have more expectations because I've seen this quarterback in a Super Bowl and win an MVP in that same year. So I know he shouldn't be that far away from competing again, even though they haven't been having that much success these last two seasons. So to me, it's just more about it's boom or bust for the Falcons more than it is for the Bucks for me. As far as if they don't go at least to the second round of playoffs, then maybe they just blow up this whole thing and trade Julio, trade Matt Ryan, and try to start from scratch. Because I don't know what else you can do. Like FIFO said, if you have 11 first-round picks on one side of the ball and you still got some good, you had the injury bug for the last couple seasons on your defense, if they say somewhat healthy, this should be a contending team, especially in their division, let alone the NFC.
And this is the best year for them because with Brady coming, it takes all the attention away from you. That's why, as a Carolina Panthers fan, I'm excited because nobody's paying.
He's gonna bring the Panthers in somehow, some way, man.
Listen, man.
You the only one talking about them, boy. Yeah.
But nobody's paying us any attention, so it's kind of like, and the same thing for the Falcons. Nobody's paying attention to these moves because you're looking at Tom Brady. So, and the same thing for the Saints. So this year, this division is pretty much. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'd rather see. I can't wait to see which Saints team we have. Is Drew Brees really through? You know what I'm saying? Is he on the downtrend, or what we gonna have out of this division? Like, is Tom Brady done? Will he be able to adjust to a new spot, new team? We'll see all that this year. But you're right, though. It is boom and bust for the Falcons. I agree.
What about your boy Teddy? Since you want to talk about the Panthers,
hey, that's your boy.
Yeah, I wanted him to go somewhere he could win. He can't win in Carolina.
You know what's crazy? I'm really sad about losing Cam. As a Panthers fan, I grew up with Cam, if that makes sense, and that's really all I know. But, I'm excited because, we're bringing in not one black quarterback, but two black replacements. So I'm happy about that part. But I'm interested to see what happens because I don't know what Teddy we're going to get because, that little sample size we saw last year, I don't really know. He was a great game manager, but he's going to be in the lead role now. And is he ready to take on that, since that leg injury? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't question that. I don't really question Teddy. I question the surrounding, team. I think he's not going to lose you. I think he's the black Alex Smith, if anything. He's not going to really lose you any games. He's just going to be able to – he just may not always win you those games. But the lack of talent they have as far as on the outside, and now you lost Kuechly, who was your lead captain of your defense. and your defense is a lot older now. They even lost their corner to the Giants. And then you
Right.
also talk about how much you're going to put how much pressure that puts on the run game, because that's all they got, really.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't say that, though, because we signed Robbie Anderson. Like I told you, I think that's going to be pretty big.
Robbie Anderson, bro.
Yeah. He's a number one receiver. He's going
in the Jets, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, though, is when you think about he got, DJ is coming into his own. Curtis Samuel, you got Curtis Samuel running underneath. You got some nice little talent around him. We're not even mentioning McCaffrey.
Those names sound good if you was talking about a jazz band. But if you talking about football, they not.
Hey, watch him work, man. If Teddy can get that ball and move that ball around, and not, my only fear is Christian McCaffrey getting an injury. Also, we got question marks on defense on the outside. Other than that, I think it's a good squad. I think.
Other than that, that's a lot of others.
Well, here's the thing. I feel where Schultz is coming from, because they have good building blocks. So they're not ready to compete now. We know that they're going to be last in the division this year, barring major injuries from the other three teams in that division. But I think they'll be competitive enough where you can see, and hopefully, obviously there's a new regime and everything there, but hopefully they have a direction and we see them be just like the Dolphins, right? At first, we thought the Dolphins were a dumpster fire. Everybody put 40 points on them and everything. And once they traded, right, to get all of these draft picks. They traded Mika Fitzpatrick. They traded Larry Tunzel. They got rid of some high value guys to get younger, to be able to establish that culture. And once they were able to establish the culture, you saw they were playing harder. Those blowouts weren't blowouts no more. And then they got to the point at the end of the season, the last quarter of the season, they were actually beating teams, right? With quote unquote nobodies on that roster. So now we know, okay, cool. They get Tua, they get this, they get O-line, they get wide receiver. Like, now you see where they're going. It's just, I think the Panthers are like maybe a half step and maybe not a full step ahead of where the Dolphins were last year.
The only reason I say they're a full step is because of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is he's a bona fide star. So with him there, honestly, he can change the game by himself. I've seen him do it. So it's like he's responsible, in my opinion, for 4 wins just from having him on the roster. Now, after that, I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm just saying this draft is going to mean a lot to a team like Carolina, because we're going to have to get a corner. We got to get a corner from somewhere, because that's the one piece we didn't replace. Now, leadership-wise, that's to be determined as well. Leadership and corner is pretty much where it is. Everything else, we pretty much good. I put our wide receivers up against anybody. I think they're a lot better than they get
home. Mad as hell.
No, man, I'm telling you, man, they don't get enough. DJ, man, I watched every game last year. DJ is strong. DJ is really strong. Curtis is explosive, and he's just learning the position. So next year, I think, I think we'll be able to show some things that people aren't expecting.
Hey,
so we're gonna see.
Hey, B, we had DJ Moore on our fantasy team, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. He had some good games, man.
He did, right?
Yeah, he did.
He trying to shoot you some bail. That's what he trying to do. That's all he doing. But with sticking with Carolina, Cam Newton's got released, and obviously Jameis is not coming back with Tampa. I don't think even as a backup. Which one between the two do y'all see getting signed first, or who starts first?
Wait, hold on. Before anybody says anything, they disrespected the hell out of Cam Newton, man.
How?
I just have to say.
Talking about Carolina?
Yeah,
they did,
man.
They did.
Y'all really think that?
I think so. They did. Yeah, they disrespected that. They disrespected Cam, man. Come on.
I
they disrespected him, Nick?
I don't see. I mean, we talked about Brady leaving New England and how that happened. Is that not the similar? I mean, obviously not the same.
No.
I think Brady's worse.
No. First of all, Cam Newton is the greatest Panther ever.
Yes.
You can say the same thing about Tom Brady with New England.
Tom Brady, same thing.
Wait, hold on, though. Cam Newton is the greatest Panther, and it's not close, right? Like there's Cam Newton, and then there's Jake Delhomme and shit. Like it's a big gap. First of all, while he was still there and being able to play and compete at a decent level, right? Like middle tier, you like all of the rumblings and everything were getting out. You never really heard that with New England, right? And Tom Brady. Like, yeah, you know, we know that they had a lack of talent and things of that nature. Okay, cool. We can see that. But a lot of the internal stuff didn't necessarily get out. With Carolina, it got out. Number two, if your intent was to cut Cam Newton, then cut Cam Newton and do it gracefully. Nothing about the way they handled the situation was gracefully, and they put him behind the 8 ball, mainly because you cut him after free agency. So now teams already have made their decisions on what they're gonna do, and like what is Cam supposed to do now? People, go ahead.
I get that, but it's business, man, and I look at it like that. Like, you know, I don't think they knew what they were gonna do. We're gonna try to get Teddy. If we get Teddy, then we're gonna let Cam go. But if we don't get Teddy, we're gonna roll with Cam. We don't know how healthy Cam is. We can't get him in to work out. So it's a lot that goes into that, man. And you gonna take care of your own interests first. It's just like going to work every day. You know, good and well, you get sick, they got somebody to replace you already.
But Shelton, my thing is this. I think that they've been made the decision to move on from Cam.
Yep.
So then cut him at the end of the season. Don't string this along.
Yeah.
Because and that's what I'm talking about, handling the situation gracefully.
I think that I agree with you. I think that they made the decision, if something better comes along, we're gonna get rid of Cam. But I think that was an if there.
I think they made the decision already, because they were talking about I can't remember the backup that took
Kyle Allen.
Cam. Who?
Oh,
Kyle Allen.
No.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah, whoever that is, right? And they were talking about, oh well, you know, he's what, 3-0, 4-0. Oh, even if Cam does get healthy, we don't know we're gonna play him. Disgraceful.
No. That was Nick. Nick
don't say nothing like that. You play it by ear. Like you don't make statements like that when you are dealing with the greatest Panther ever. That's all I'm saying.
I would say this, going back to your first initial point about the rumblings from Carolina versus New England. We heard rumblings about Belichick versus Brady for the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
Similar that we did same thing about Carolina with Cam, as far as like, this dude ain't what we thought he was going to be at this point of his time in his career. So it was already on the horizon that Cam should have known. That's why he was doing all them goofy ass videos with smoking cigars and drinking wine and shit with the scarf on and all that shit, because he knew things wasn't as sweet as they used to be. So for him to get cut, maybe I agree with you guys as far as the timeline. He probably should have got cut a lot earlier to give him a chance to go to another team. But this was already going to happen. So for me, it's just like, I'm not surprised he got cut. It's just surprising to see, like Shelton was saying, like people like since I've been watching football along, is like Cam has been the best thing in Carolina. And to see him grow up and go through all that, yeah, it does suck. But at the same time, it was gonna happen, and it probably needed to happen, because I think he outgrew Carolina. And once you saw Ron Rivera get let go, everybody who was there in that Ron Rivera regime is gonna be gone.
I do agree it was business, so I understand that, but I don't want to use business to hide as a means to hide behind a proper way to go about doing something to a guy like Cam Newton, right? The guy that got you to the Super Bowl, the guy that played hurt, the guy that laid it all on the line. There's a proper way to go about doing it. We all understand the business aspect of it, right? You can't really afford to pay him $19 million with so many questionable variables. And you know that with him being a bruiser running type of quarterback that you had to move on. My thing is, Bridgewater is the answer. Like, you would take Bridgewater over a healthy Cam Newton, because in order to cut him, he had to be healthy, or they had to clear him.
That's the asterisk of Cam Newton, though. When healthy, we haven't seen that man be like that in a long time. So
right,
it's 2 years. It's 2 years,
and these are new injuries. So it's kind of like Cam been banged up for a long time. He's been out those years, but he's been banged up for a long time, and that foot was a new thing. So it's kind of like you just don't know what you get with Cam. And my thing is, as a Cam Newton fan, a Carolina fan, Cam Newton was an awesome quarterback when he got hot, but he was real streaky. And it wasn't that he was learning the game and getting better as a quarterback, because he never got better, to be honest with you. He just got hot.
I won't say that.
No, he never got better. He just got hot. Like the year.
I think, Shelton, hold on. I think North Turner helped him with decision.
Oh, North Turner helped him a lot.
Yeah,
he did, and that was probably.
Well, how many games?
Yep. What with North? Not that many.
It was about half the season. They was like, what, 6-2?
Yeah, he was balling. And see, the thing about it is, what I mean by not getting better Cam never got better at reading defenses. Cam was still taking those same chances, throwing off his back foot. He never got like to the point where you just felt like he just did it. Cam relied on his athletic ability, his strength, his speed, and that kind of stuff more than anything else. He never put his mind into the game. And in saying that, you just never knew what you were gonna get. You knew you were gonna get a person that worked hard and who would show up for you every day, but it just, I honestly, I don't know. Like and I could be wrong. Once again, I wasn't there, so I don't know the inner workings. And that's another thing that we have to take into consideration. We don't know what was said behind closed doors. We don't know. They may have told this man we're going in a different direction. They just made it public to us later. I know the way he reacted doesn't feel like they did, but still, we just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
They're trying to be slick. But I agree with you, Shelton. I don't think Cam got better. And but I also think they didn't do a lot to help Cam get better.
They didn't.
I think they never really gave this man any weapons. It was one of the things that I complained about for years.
They took away one of his most deadly weapons this past year. What was that? Kelvin Benjamin. Like it was
God.
like at that point, it was like, what do you got left? Like, I mean, what I mean, what do you got left?
I thought they had issues.
And then on top of that, let's talk about how the NFL was disrespectful to Cam Newton and how they didn't referee him with the same kick gloves that they referee all of the other quarterbacks with. Cam Newton took crazy shots that should have got penalized.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, because of that, these non-running quarterbacks and stuff like that, they will be like Cam Newton had to break down that wall for him just to expose that lack of care when it comes to quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks. So I think it's unfortunate for his career, but I don't see that I don't see that being an issue with Lamar Jackson, especially how he's becoming the face of the league and other quarterbacks that would be like him.
Well, see, the difference was Cam Newton was linebacker size. So you're looking at a guy who is the biggest guy on the field. They didn't look at him like a quarterback. Lamar Jackson is still, he still has a quarterback's build. Now he's running all over the place, but hitting him like you hit Cam, that wouldn't happen. I saw Cam, oh man, he got beat up several times, and it was ugly, and he had no help. So he was in a lane of his own with that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he hadn't got picked up yet because it's hard. You can't bring anybody in for workouts right now. I think that hurts him more than anybody else because you don't know how healthy he is. You really can't. I mean, you can see it through, you can watch video and watch film of him working out, but to actually be in a room with somebody, that makes these guys feel more comfortable.
But
and I think that's what's hurting them.
Any damn thing with them black and white damn Instagram videos he put. Right. You're not like, Jesus Christ, man. We need to see color.
But yeah, that's true.
Going to my question between him and Jameis, which one do you guys think will be able to salvage their career?
Jameis, because he's younger, but I don't think any of them. I don't think it doesn't look good for him, bro.
Does it depend on what system they get? They play for. Like I think that plays a role too, Nick.
Definitely does.
Which coach or which system that they get implemented into? You know what I'm saying? Because you can go to a team that you might think might be straight, but if him and the coach is not clicking, or if he ain't clicking with that system, it's gonna go to shits.
Look at what happened with Baltimore. I'm bad with names.
Baltimore Ravens
quarterback
Robert Griffin III.
No.
Robert Griffin III.
No, who just
Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm tripping.
Are you saying like him being in the right system that sees him elevate his skill set and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
System is very important in the NFL, especially for quarterback.
And there isn't one for Cam. Like the Carolina system was unique for him. LJ's system is unique for him. Cam doesn't have a future. You could probably coach the turnovers out of Jameis, but you can't design a whole system this late around Cam Newton. The only place that he stands a chance of going would be the Chargers because Tyrod Taylor there. But Tyrod Taylor is nothing but the black Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah. Or that's all he is.
You got to give Tyrod more than that. He don't turn the ball over like Fitzpatrick. If anything,
I guess when I mean by that is he's a jag. He's just another guy.
He's a gap filler.
Yeah, that's it. And we lament about having guys like that, and we're grateful to have at least one. But when I saw the Chargers was gonna pick him, I'm like, for real? So then that's when I came to that conclusion that that's basically what he is. And his dumb ass gonna go online and post videos of him and Cam working out.
That I didn't understand that.
Yeah, North Cam's like damn twice his size. And so if I'm the Chargers, I'm like, well, you might as well bring him in. So maybe as a backup, that could be a good place to go because Tyrod might get the shit knocked out of him at some point in the season whenever we get one.
Right.
But yeah, I think if anybody would get a shot, it would be Cam based off pedigree. But there are not a lot of job opportunities for quarterbacks right now.
It's not. And like I said earlier, man, I said this before. I know a lot of people think it sounds crazy, but if I was Jameis, I would stay in Tampa. I just would stay right there if I could. Like I said, because Tom Brady is 490 years old.
Right. It's not like he's about to play for 10 years, right?
Right. You're gonna learn something from the quarterback guru, from the greatest quarterback. You're gonna learn some things, and you're one injury, which is higher, a higher chance of their end than anywhere else from playing.
It's funny you mentioned. I'm sorry, Sheldon. It's funny you mentioned that because when I saw that Brady was going there, that was actually one of my first thoughts. I was like, I wonder is Winston gonna stay and just kind of like, just get put up on some game, learn a lot more while in these next 2 years, and then Tampa can give him the keys right back to the car. So, but he's so competitive. I think Winston, he feels that he's a starting quarterback in this league because he's been a starting quarterback.
But
he's for 5,000 yards.
That's what I'm saying.
You should be a damn starting quarterback.
In his mind, he like, I ain't about to be like, he's probably thinking like, I ain't about to be second fiddle. So, I'm about to go out here and start. But I agree with you, Sheldon. I think this is me. I do think he should kind of just stay behind the clipboard and learn and come back probably twice as better as he was before. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think.
Yeah, and then you think about it, like I said, you think about it. Think about the 6 games in, y'all are doing okay, and Tom Brady, God forbid, has an injury. He's right back in there. And if he starts winning and he get hot, that's it.
That's
He's
it.
straight,
Right.
Man,
I agree.
The Bucs gentrified that QB position. They showcased how the black people can succeed, and then this white man in, and he gonna take us further. That's what I knew as soon as Brady was gonna get there, Jameis had to leave. To be honest, I didn't think Jameis was gonna come back. Period. After that 30 for 30, because I think that was the easiest excuse of Bruce Arians to say like FIFO said. Bruce Arians like, I got them 30 touchdowns. He got them 30 interceptions. So I can do better with better quality QB.
I started to get those vibes too, Nick. But looking at the way the market played out, I think he probably would have had no choice but to bring him back with Phillips going to Indy and electing to go elsewhere. But by default, I don't think he would have wanted him. So I think Bruce Arians gotta decide, is he gonna be a no biscuit, as he like to call it, QB, or is he gonna be a guy who likes to value the ball, or he's trying to find a way to play in the middle, and that was it. But I think for Jameis, I see a lot of networks saying what I started saying, a year ago. I want to say that he should go to the Steelers. And now everybody's jumping. That's cool and all, and I still believe that. But my thing with Jameis is that I just don't think he has a future in the NFL at all. I think he has been maligned, rightfully so. Huh?
I disagree. I think if he just, we talk about head coaches a lot.
Damn, Ken, you've been riding Jameis Winston coattail for a while.
Yeah,
you giving up on him now?
I still am. I'm not giving up on Jameis. I'm giving up on the league.
Okay, I got you.
This man, like he's turned into a joke. Like he's a joke for every network to do the 30 for 30 stuff, and he's the best player on the team for offense and defense. And I get all that. Everybody got to get the jokes off, and he's not, exempt from that. But I think coming into the NFL, he had a history. He managed to get over that and be better. But we know how this thing go, man. Nobody will ever let you get over that unless your name is Big Ben Roethlisberger, right? So, and Big Ben won a Super Bowl, so he can move past that stuff. Even though the Me Too era started to bring all that stuff back. But because of the turnovers, because of the negative reputation that he has and the perception of his current off the field issues, nobody's going to want to bring that type of thing into their locker room. And then you add in everything that went down with Cap, man, they just going to move forward and let him go. I think it's a wrap.
And I hate it. And you mentioned Phillip Rivers to Indy. I was not a fan of that. Nick Foles going to Chicago. Those are places that
I thought Cam would go there.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought for sure Cam would be in Chicago, and I thought James would be in either San Diego or, like you said, I thought the Pittsburgh idea was awesome. But like you said, I agree with you. I don't see what they're gonna do with either of them. I don't know what they can do at this point. But you'd have to build around Cam, like you said. You can't put him. Cam being a backup just doesn't make a lot of sense because he needs a structured offense. So I just have to see how it works. I would hope it would, but I got to see
it. Speaking of some other baffling moves, or just the most baffling move, I think, in that whole NFL free agency, Bill O'Brien trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Cardinals. Man, we probably should have started the show off with that, because to me, I don't know what's going on.
See, and my thing is, it's not. Look, the NFL trades happen, but bro, you got a second round pick for him. When Stephon Diggs fetched the first, Stephon Diggs, and there's no disrespect to Stephon, he's just not DeAndre. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy. Remember in the chat, I said, look, why can't I think nobody's name? Who the quarterback?
Kyle Murray.
Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson needed to ask for a trade, and I don't know if y'all saw his cryptic tweet when he was, I think, quoting Drake or somebody.
Yeah,
look, man, it's about to get ugly with the Texans.
That's when arrogance. Oh, go ahead. That's just when arrogance meets authority. This guy's more arrogant, and he thinks it's about him. Bill O'Brien was given too much power and too much control, and I would have taken it away the second I heard that news. If I was the owner, there's no way he'd still be running my organization, trading away my greatest player for peanuts.
This is another black quarterback that certain organizations look upon to do everything for them. And Deshaun Watson is that guy. They got him one guy, and then that was it. Fuller, we know he stayed healthy, but for a while, it was Deshaun, Hopkins, or bust. We saw it with Cam Newton. And look, again, man, this is why you guys should be watching this show. We be early on a lot of stuff. I have been calling this man out for years now. Bill O'Brien has to go.
You have.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like, everybody sees what he's doing. The fact that they brought him back after blowing that lead in the Super Bowl was
not in the Super Bowl. You mean the playoffs?
And my bad.
In the
playoffs, I got wrong. In the freaking playoffs, was asinine to me. I couldn't believe it. But I don't know who said it. Maybe it was Kyle. Maybe it was one of y'all said he must got pictures of somebody somewhere.
He got to. Got to. I've never seen a coach have that much power over the last, and it's increased over the last 3 years. Because I remember they had their whole GM issue where they were trying to trade for the GM with the New England or something like that. But man, I don't know what it is, but he has the most power, probably even more than Belichick or rivaling Belichick in that franchise, and it is not warranted. Like y'all said, like playoff, he's barely won in the playoffs, if anything. Even though he's gotten them there, I'll give him that credit, but he's barely won. And it's not like he gave Watson Hopkins. Hopkins was there before anybody, and he's probably been arguably a top 2 wide receiver over the last 5 years. Because he's played with horrible quarterbacks and still produced.
Yep.
So you would think him and Watson would be like, all right, this is the pairing that will, like, you have to keep them together. But to give him up and you're just gonna leave him with Kenny Stills and Will Fuller
and David Johnson,
and just to get David Johnson back, who hasn't done shit since basically his first 2 years. I don't know that.
And he got a worse contract than Todd Gurley. So that part is what didn't make any sense.
And if anything, if what the last 5 years have shown you about running backs, you can draft a running back that could be a Pro Bowler in that same year. You don't have to trade for one, especially him out of all people. I can understand Melvin Gordon at least, but for David Johnson, I don't know, man. That was probably the dumbest trade I've ever seen in a long time. But on the other side, for Kyler Murray, he's got like the best tandem right now to succeed in a tougher division, at least in my opinion, than the NFC South.
He's loaded because he got Christian Kirk, who people don't even know anything about. If you ever watch Cardinals football, but that boy is a baller. He got I don't know the little slot guy name, but he got another little slot guy, Larry Fitzgerald, of course, who is Father Time, and now you got the greatest. I mean, what can you do? Like that's just, and then Kenyon Drake is coming into his own too, so he really is stacked.
We're talking about another organization that failed their players, and like Kenyon Drake never got a chance in Miami. He was clearly talented, fast as hell, and they kept giving the rock to guys that was undrafted.
Kalen Ballage and Well, here's the thing too. Like Miami was in they ain't figured it out. They ain't have Brian Flores. You know what I'm saying? Now the organization they have a culture and they have a direction. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we pro brother on the show.
We are.
So Brian Flores is, you know what I'm saying, doing his thing. So, you know, I'm good with the Dolphins now. And here's the thing, man, like at the end of the day, it's always about time and opportunity, space and opportunity. And it wasn't the right place for Kenyon Drake at the right time. Now he's in a much better situation.
Yeah, he was electric. We had him on our fantasy team too. You know, he was big for us down the stretch to help us win our third straight title. But yeah, I agree. I mean, Brian Flores didn't use him either, you know, and Brian Flores got rid of him. And which is fine. I think he may want to start from scratch, and we'll see what happens. But I want to ask you guys before we get back to what else Nick has. Talk about a guy that has just disappeared off the map, Josh Rosen. Like,
yes, I know.
Yeah,
because he was looked at as an NFL darling.
I feel bad for the kid. He was talking hella. I didn't think he was talking that much shit, but I guess the whole NFL league thought he was, and ever since then they just. So
why you feel bad for him?
Well, because I think he thought it was more about confidence, but it sounded cocky. And then since then, I feel like he's tried to
feel bad about his ass. Well,
I mean, his parents are millionaires. I don't feel they were rich beforehand. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't feel bad for him, man. He be all right. He good.
I understand that. I'm not talking about monetary. But I'm just saying he had a whole dream of being in the NFL. And
he shouldn't have been as cocky. I did too. He shouldn't have been as cocky then. I mean, I don't feel bad for him.
I don't at all.
Dang,
that's 110% on him.
Exactly.
But my thing is, you got people like Josh Rosen that's getting shots, and people out here that deserve it, like a Jamie's that's looking for a job. So I don't feel sorry for nobody like that.
Nope. Josh about to be out the league. What y'all think about the other guy, Mariota? Mariota going to take David Carr's David or Derek? I get them confused. Derek.
Derek.
At Raiders?
Yeah. He signed up. He signed, right? Or he got traded?
He signed with Raiders.
I think it's gonna be a cute. I think if this will help Derek Carr step his game up, this should be it.
But Derek Carr had a good season based off of what was around him, though.
Yeah.
He finally found a good tight end.
Good running back.
Yeah, and they got a great running back.
Y'all think Mariota gonna make a difference? I mean, because people tough on him like they was on Jameis Winston though.
Well, here's the thing. I think by signing Mariota, what it shows Derek Carr is that my leash is short.
That's what I'm saying. It might make Derek Carr step his shit up, probably.
It will.
The damn Raiders need a wide receiver or two or three. They don't have the outside talent like that.
Yeah. Anytime you improve your quarterback room, you're doing a good job. And I think that was a good signing for them because, you know, if nothing else, it's a chance for him to redeem himself. And it's insurance for Derek Carr. I mean, Derek Carr. If he doesn't play this year, you got a backup that has starting experience you can bring in that won't make no waves. He's a quiet guy. So he's a West Coast guy too. So all that works to your advantage. So I think it was good for both sides.
Yeah.
B, I wanted you to talk about we were talking about bad coaching with Bill O'Brien, but your Lions, boy, y'all got a mutiny on your hands too, boy.
Man, you saw what Sly was saying?
Yeah, man. He was like, what he said he was like that's
because okay, so because this what happens. So Sly it was one off season where he was working with like he was working out with like the top cornerbacks in the league. At the time, who it was Sherman,
Peterson,
Patrick
Peterson.
Yeah, he was working. Yeah, Patrick Peterson. Like he was working with all these top, safeties and cornerbacks. And so then the coaches asked him, like, dude, you're not at that level. Why are you working? Like pretty much saying, like, why are you working out with these guys? You're not on that level. Like, what are you doing? If anything, as a coach, you should be happy and be encouraging your players to be working out with the greats in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if it's some pointers that you want to pick up that can make you a better cornerback. Why not? I mean, as a coach, that should be something you should be proud to see from your guys that's going the extra mile or working out with the extra guys. Like, oh, okay, cool. You want to get that, putting that work in? Good. But, man, Matt Patricia is really, really – and every time I look at him, I'm like, this – it's like Trump. It's like after Barack Obama, we get Trump. It's like, damn, after we got Jim Caldwell, we got freaking Trump and off. Don't the players don't like him. I'm telling you, if the Lions start off this season like 0-5, 0-6, if they better let him go. But I don't think they will because I think he just signed the extension. I think they extended him for like another. I'm like, boy, the luck, the joys to being white, boy. I tell you.
Well, I told you that white man luck, man.
That's it, man.
Like shout out to 12 Kyle. What 12 Kyle will always say, he got the right complexion for protection, and that's the prime example, man. Like Jim Caldwell had a winning record with us, a winning record. 2 out of 4 years, a winning record and 2 playoff appearances. You fired a guy after going 9-7 a year. He got fired. That's crazy.
Yeah, shit. I almost feel bad for you, but I'm a Bengals fan at heart too. So at the same time, like shit, get used to it. Yeah.
You don't have it worse than us, Nick. We
gonna have to do y'all been doing y'all Jay-Z versus what Nas shit. We gonna do a Bengals versus Lions.
Nick, you don't want this. You don't want me to show you all the horrible historic things that's etched in Lions history.
We're gonna do a playlist of battle. We're gonna show all the worst games. We got it worse.
You don't want these problems, man. I got so much bad shit with the Lions. You don't want these problems.
I gotta do my research.
What's up with all of these Belichick disciples thinking they Belichick though? Like I don't get it. Like just be you. Take what you've learned and apply it.
None of his disciples has been doing good either. No, if you look at it, like none of his disciples are going out and just.
But I think it's more of like when you have like a group and like 2 of the people in the group are really popping. And like they bring in they're the main attraction, and then you got the people behind them that's still a part of the group. They start feeling themselves too, and they try to go solo, and it don't work out that well. That's what's in that New England locker room and that culture. Like you win so much that you think you a part of the winning too. But it's like, nah, that's Belichick. You just along for the ride. So I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people think that that's gonna rub off on all these coaches, but history shows that it doesn't.
No, and it has a lot to do with where you go too, because it's got to be a good fit, man. And some of these things you don't. I mean, you take what job you can get, but a lot of these times, man, you get in the wrong situation. Like Cincinnati, it's not designed for you to win there, so it can get bad. But you're right; they are following that trend, thinking that they are Bill, and they're not. It never will be. Brian may be though. Brian Flores may be. He has a shot, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. That's to be determined.
Yeah, I think there was a couple other signings. I think Diggs went to the Bills, which was interesting. But another signing or another thing that happened that I was surprised by is that, well, not really that too surprised, but Dallas franchise tagging Dak. So now I heard they're renegotiating again.
Yeah, they're at the table. They had to do that. I think that was more of a formal move. Like that was a move that they had to make, just so to keep him there because he has exclusive franchise. Just so they don't have to worry about anybody else stepping in to negotiate. So that's what that was for, to set up so where they can work out a long-term situation without the threat of another team coming in. So that's what that was, and I think they'll get something done.
I'm starting to feel that way now. I think now that they're back at the negotiating table, that gives me some optimism about it. My initial feelings was that they really don't want to deal with the guy and sign him to a deal, especially if it's going to be about 4 years. but I think this would be their best shot at winning. And they got a new coach. We already know about the talent that they have. Better play from Dak and better coaching in 8 of those losses, even though they came at the hands of winning teams, could net you at least another 3 wins, and that would have put them in the playoffs. And who knows what could happen. So I think when you look around, he's really their best option out there.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I think they're doing him a disservice, but for the time being, if we're all thinking about at least that locker room and that franchise, is like, look, we just probably 1 season away from making it big, and then we could talk about everything else afterwards. I think that's where they keep on dangling that carrot in front of Dak, is that, listen, just hold tight real quick. You're going to get paid regardless, but in order for us to make the money work for everybody so we can have this stacked team, we're going to have to hold off on your money. And shit.
And I think the idea of that is great, but 1 injury away. And then
exactly. That's my thing. Like for him, it's just like, nigga, I was supposed to been get paid. You paid everybody else, even a running back. And this ain't even a running back league, as what y'all say. So like,
and then it may cost them more. We've seen this play out with Kirk Cousins, a couple of years ago when they kept franchise tagging him, and then it costed them more money than it would have if they would have just paid him. So
yeah,
but even he got an extension, which is crazy.
No, that was a crazy move, but once again,
who are you gonna go get?
In a league like this, you don't know what's coming, and you don't know who's out there that's better. There's no guarantee that somebody can come in and there's no surefire things out there like that no more. So you take your horse and you ride with him. It's a good fit, then you pay the man. Like that's what you do, and that's what's gonna happen with Dak. Dak gonna get paid because it's the best thing for Dallas. He may not be the greatest quarterback in the league, but he's the best thing for the Cowboys right now. So he deserves his money. Get a man his money and let's keep it moving. They cave in anyway. They do it all the time. So they're going to pay him. That's who they are. They just string it along. They should have just did it and got out of the way early and not had to worry about it.
Yeah, we'll see. This is going to be – I don't know how this Corona stuff is going to affect the season, but I hope everything – everything's supposed to be, I guess, estimated ended by the fall. So the season should probably start off normally. I just can't wait because I think this is going to be probably one of the most interesting football seasons ever. The first time we see a lot of different quarterbacks in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the story plays out. I think they're really are like, football traditionally has been about the teams. What the logo on the side of the helmets. And I think now they have, or somehow we've gotten into storytelling. Like there are these stories that we want to see play out, whether it's for good reasons or negative reasons. What's going to happen with Brady? Is Dak going to get paid? Drew Brees playing until he's 50. Like all these different storylines is going on. And the NFL has done a good job of taking what is the biggest sport out there and making it more narrative driven.
Yeah, it's reality TV.
Yeah, man. And I don't know how they did it, but I gotta commend them for it because it was exceptional. It was the one thing the NBA had over them was that. So
you're right, because a few years ago, and you're right, it wasn't like that. And let me ask y'all something. This is a little off, but what y'all think about Jadeveon not signing yet, man? That's bugging me out more than anything else.
I thought he had.
I thought he did sign with somebody. Let me see.
No, he still hadn't signed yet. Jadeveon is still a free agent.
Wow.
And that part I don't understand. And I ain't got an answer for that.
Well, I know he said that he wanted to play for a contender, and he didn't want to just sign anywhere. But now the question is like, will the team you want to sign with, the winning team, will they have the money to pay you what you want to be paid? And
exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. I think Seattle wants to bring him back, but they have a number for that. And
he was asking, I think, for $20 million a year, and I think they're at 13 to 15 is where they are. I saw somewhere where Cleveland was trying to get in the mix for him, where I hope he don't go, but that's the biggest holdup. He's looking for $20 million a year, which he, I can't say he don't deserve 20, but
that's a little high.
20 is high. 20 is very high for him.
For him, yes.
Especially because of the expectations of who he was supposed to be coming out of college. Like, and your team traded you, not to say it wasn't anything because of, like, it's not like he's the worst DN and like he just was a bust, but he should be, for his talent and his skill set, especially in Seattle, you would think that he could do more. Now, again, he came through it like just for the last part of the season and going into the playoffs. But if that's the case, then let's sign a short deal. I'll give you 15 to 16. I'm not going over that, to be honest, because that's a sample.
But that's what you were paying for, because he's going to show up in the big games, and he definitely showed up in the playoffs. So I think that's what a team will have to look for. Like, you're not going to get like season-long production, but in the games that matter, from what I've seen from Clowney, is that he finds a way to show up. In the other games, I don't know if he just be taking it lightly or whatnot, but
he had a couple little injuries this year.
Yeah, but he was.
If that's the case, I'll sign him to a 2-year, $40 million and only 30 guaranteed. So basically, you get paid 15 a year.
If I was him, I would take a deal like that, because that cap number is gonna go up. And if he balls out for a couple, he's still young. So if he ball out for a couple years, man, you can get paid. He can get paid. So I think I would take something like that. If I was him, I would take the 15 for one, to be honest, and bet on myself. I just think that, if he can stay healthy and keep those legs straight, because he had like some leg issues last year, then he'll be okay. But like you said, he was dominant in those games that they needed him to show up in. He played ball in a couple of those games. He was wreaking havoc on some of them quarterbacks. But the sack numbers don't always show it, but his pressures were there, and he was commanding them double teams. So it's like he was doing what you need him to do. And I think if he had stayed in Houston with that team, Houston would have made some noise. But I think that him not being signed yet, though, still is crazy to me. I think that compared to some of these other DNs, I know he's upper echelon and should be on somebody's team already. I just don't see why not.
We'll see. He's going to end up before. I doubt before the end of April he will not be on the team.
Well, it feels like things are paused, man. This coronavirus and has a lot of organizations and companies just like, I'm just going to wait it out and see what happens before we start spending any more money. We know they got the draft coming up. Goodell issued a warning saying y'all can't talk shit about my decision there. To have that, we see like they're talking about the draft, but they're not really talking about the draft.
Exactly, because I don't think they want to invest in it too much because it may get pushed back or be moved, and then now they're like, oh fuck, we just built this up for no reason.
Mm-hmm. So and the ineptness of our government has me concerned that this thing will probably go the year because they just don't know what the hell they're doing, and they don't have a handle on it, and it's impacting everything. So I think one way you may see things start to kind of get under control is when these CEOs somehow, some way start talking, and we're like, hey man, like you costing us money. And we need to get back to work, and whatever you need to do, you need to do it. And that's when you'll probably start to see things change. Right now,
yeah. My last thing on the NFL is like, I know I probably should have mentioned this too, is the CBA getting signed and that new deal. And y'all thoughts on, because I know we had a long discussion about what players probably should do, especially since they've been complaining for the last decade about the last deal. And this deal, we're getting another game starting next season. So what did y'all feel about as far as the result of the CBA?
I think it's hard for a group of people with different agendas, with different tiers in the NFL to come together to make a decision collectively. I think the people that they put in charge of helping guide them make those decisions, it feels like they sold out for their best interests. It does not feel like that deal worked out in the best for them. They got one more game, one less playoff game, so they just basically switched them out. And from everything that I've seen and read, the players don't even like the preseason. So you will always see situations like this happen where you have media and people like us that are saying, hey, you guys should fight for this, you guys should fight for that. But you won't see them come together to try to fight for the things that we feel that they should be fighting on. And I think that will always have these type of discussions every time this thing comes up for renewal. And it just is what it is at this point.
It sounds like you gave up. Like you gave up on these deals. And
yeah. You know what? I don't invest a lot into it because it's all politics. It's all deals made, at a bar somewhere or, in somebody's car, in some alley. Like it's all a game, man. And it's never in the best interest of the players, and the players, themselves look out for themselves. And we understand that. I understand that they have to. And if you're a first, second, or low rate tier player, then you only have a year or two in the NFL. If you look at Gurley, who was on top of the world, and all of a sudden then he cut and let go. You look at Cam, all of a sudden he cut and let go. So you got to try to figure out how and when to make your money and what's best suited for you in the short time frame that you have. So I don't even care about it.
Damn. Well, with how the coronavirus is still affecting sports, the NBA, I think I was listening to ESPN, and what Jay Willis brought up the whole the NBA should be played on cruise ships to finish out the season.
What?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Jay Williams. He said
was
that on.
He had to be joking. He had to be joking.
He said it on Go Lick and Wingo, like the NBA should probably if they can just play the rest of the games on cruise ships. That way
he was
away
joking.
from everybody.
He got to be joking.
They're just trying to find ways to bring the NBA back. But I bring that up because will the NBA continue on for this season to finish out this season, or are they just gonna scrap it and then start over next year?
Unfortunately, it seems like they're gonna have to scrap it. I just don't see how they can play.
That's just a lot of games to scrap.
It is, but I would hope that they would play, but they're so far removed from the momentum that everybody was having. It's almost like a new season by the time you start back. It's gonna be tough to get that same momentum back to carry on from where we were. It just doesn't. And then we got to think about next year and how it's going to affect us next year as well. And they were talking about the draft and how if you're playing these playoff games so late, how you going to draft and make trades with the playoffs going on? You see what I'm saying? So it affects so much stuff. So unless everything's going to be pushed back from now on, it'll kind of throw everything off. I just don't see how they can get it done. I would love for it to come back. I just don't see how they can.
I'm cautiously optimistic that it'll return. I believe in capitalism in the sense that I don't see them throwing all of that money away. But the logistics of starting it back up, as Shelton was just discussing, is going to be an issue. Yep. Because the later you start the season is the later you have to start the other season. So what do you do there? So everybody got to come together and say, okay, if we're going to start the season up in the playoffs, we have a shorter playoff. When do we start the regular season next year? Is that November and December? Or do we finally look at this as an opportunity to experiment with shorter games? So go from 82 to 62 games for this one time.
You mean as in next year? Like as in next season?
As a regular season, yes. Next season. This would be a perfect opportunity for them to
start the season on Christmas Day.
Yep, started on Christmas Day, play a shorter season, figure out what those advertising packages will look like on a reduced number of games, see how the players respond to it, maybe build in a clause to where you can come back and negotiate this at a later time or whatever, and then move forward from there. I think if they can somehow figure out a way to come together for that, I think this could work out in the long term outlook of what the league could potentially become.
Yeah, I can't see them giving up on the season, especially when the Lakers were number one, the Clippers were right there. You had the Celtics, you had the Bucks. Like, this is too much storylines and anticipation for us seeing like the Titans come together. I think if it doesn't start by June, then then you may have to scrap it. And then I don't know how that will, as far as the accomplishments and accolades that were calculated beforehand, how do they trickle down to next season? Or do you just crown the MVP and stuff like that as a caveat? You know what I'm saying? Like, if the season were to end,
Get rid of it all.
Get rid of it all.
No, you can't do that. So
that means John Morant definitely ain't going to be Rookie of the Year.
So here's the thing. First off, Nick, you sound like a fan with that take, because I think that if you're an executive in the NBA, the perception and the safety has to come first. So, like, if you have to scrap it, you're gonna have to scrap it. Like because you cannot put your employees in harm's way. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's such a publicized entity in terms of the NBA, right? Everybody knows what's happening with the NBA. We knew exactly when they had coronavirus, right? Like even your guy from the Pistons, he was mad because it got leaked before he could tell his mom.
Christian Wood.
You know what I'm saying? So things happen like this, and I don't think that the NBA can afford to try to expedite or figure out something that they just don't have control over.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I said, like, if it doesn't happen by June, you would have to scrap it. Because then, like Ken and Shelton's point, like, the timeline, y'all going into the NFL season right now, y'all can't compete with them. So it's just like, you would have to. I just don't understand, like, how would that affect what already took place, you know?
So the rest of the season's done. I think at that point, you know, all of the AP people, they just vote on all of the accolades at the end. First, Ken,
that's what I'm saying. You would have to do that.
Wait, Ken, you have to, because that stuff affects contracts. When you get first team all NBA, it affects if you get a Supermax or not. So you have to vote on that. You have to vote on the accolades.
These are circumstances that you can't account for. So, you know, I don't see.
To adjust.
Yeah, they can easily have they got exceptions in contracts for this sort of thing.
Not for a global pandemic. Like, no one has that in a contract.
Yes, they do. I forgot what it's called, but they do have one. It's I can't remember what it's called, but they got all this, the way they word stuff, but there are things written that'll get them out of these things. As a matter of fact, we saw with the NFL was trying to add some language to theirs about this thing, moving forward. So I think just put an asterisk by it, man, and just move forward. We don't have a conclusion.
Right.
But I will say that I wouldn't, if I'm the NBA, I'm not worried about competing with the NFL, because we just got to make our money. We got a set of NBA dedicated fans anyway. So I think I wouldn't even be concerned about that, because at some point the NFL is going to be over with anyway. Right. So I would just continue to just move forward with business as usual if that's what they're going to do.
We'll see. But I mean, I'm probably 60-40 as far as 60% chance they're not coming back.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
You see what your boy Melo said?
Oh, about the LeBron saving his life?
No, not that.
Oh.
About what would have happened if the Pistons would have drafted him instead of Darko?
Oh, I saw that.
I saw the article,
the headline, but I didn't read it.
I didn't read it yet.
I saw that.
Yeah, so he pretty much said he felt like if he would have got drafted by the Pistons, he would have won 2 to 3 championships.
100%.
Yeah, that's I agree.
100%.
I don't know.
He might have won it his rookie year.
I don't know. Reason why is we got to look at it this way. Carmelo even admitted this later on down in his career, how immature he was as a player during his Denver years. Like his first 4 or 5 years in, you had a coach like Larry Brown. Like, think of how strict Larry Brown would have had. Like, Carmelo is someone who don't play defense. Larry Brown would have had that man playing defense.
No, 100%.
You know
but you also know, playing on a basketball team, that the player's in force as well. And
So you
that
think
team was
especially
very
that team.
loaded
There was
with
too many
veterans.
thugs.
But
There was
also,
too many thugs in that
if
locker
we,
room.
if we would have got Melo, if we would have drafted Melo, we wouldn't have got Rasheed. And Rasheed was a very, very important part of us winning that championship that year. If we would have got Melo, she would have been coming there.
Why?
Because we had to make
I thought she signed as a free agent.
No, that was a trade.
What did the Pistons give up?
What?
I don't remember exactly. I can look it up, but it was a trade. It was during the trade. It was in the middle of the
Really?
season. We got him during the trade. Yeah, we got him in the middle. We got him during the trade. And when we got him in the trade, I was like, we about to win. Like I already knew we was about to win once we had him. Like
You
once
don't
we got
think
him.
y'all had Ben Wallace though at that time, right?
Yeah, we had Ben Wallace. Yeah.
Tayshaun, Rip Hamilton.
You don't think if you sub, let's say like you're right, B. You sub out Rasheed Wallace, put Melo in. It
was a different NBA.
Different
NBA. Rasheed mentally was a whole different plane than Carmelo. We talking about a rookie Carmelo. He would have not he wouldn't know how to sustain that playoff run that the Pistons we was making. Physical, we was physical as hell. We was physical. We was locking teams up to like 80 points. Like teams wasn't scoring more than 80 points.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm a Melo fan. But I was just recently looking at the highlights of that Denver Lakers Western Conference Final. That boy, when he was competing, he was physical. He was going against
that Melo. He was already in that window that FIFO said. He was already in that 3 to 5 window by the time he played that Lakers squad in the conference finals. That Melo wasn't the same Melo as a rookie Melo.
All right, I got the trade details. All right, so he was because remember he got traded twice.
Right.
So Portland traded him to the Hawks with Wesley Persons in exchange for Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Theo Ratliff, and Dan Dickau. And then he got traded to Detroit as part of a 3-team deal involving the Hawks and the Celtics. The deal also included the Pistons sending Lindsey Hunter, Chucky Atkins, and a 2004 first-round pick, along with cash to Boston. The Celtics sent Chris Mills to the Hawks and guard Mike James to the Pistons. And the Hawks got Zelko Rebraka, Bob Sura, and a first-round pick from the Bucks. From the Pistons.
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Rasheed Wallace was.
But then you think,
Go ahead, B.
how much somebody playing time would have got Aiden into?
It would have been a little bit of Rasheed, a lot of Tayshaun.
I was gonna say Tayshaun definitely.
Because defensively, Tayshaun was
No.
Carmelo wasn't playing that type of defense. Tayshaun was playing.
Larry Brown Melo would have played defense, man. Not to the level that Tayshaun, but Melo would have played.
Thank you, Ken. No, he would not. Melo, we talking about rookie Melo. I understand if we're talking about if we're talking about maybe New York Knicks later on before he left Denver, Melo, maybe. Because he was starting to mature then. We're talking about 18, 19 years old rookie Carmelo who admitted to how immature he was. He wanted to listen to Larry Brown. Shit, Larry Brown barely had Allen Iverson in check.
I see what you're saying, B. I just think though at 18 and 19, he's easier to shake than later on. What I mean by that is, like I said, going to that team with those guys, man, if you're on a team with Chauncey Billups and Rip, them boys gonna keep him straight right there. Ben Wallace, it won't even make it to Larry Brown. They would keep him straight, or he'd be on that bench because Larry Brown didn't like playing rookies no way. So in saying that,
that's what I'm saying.
I think in order for him to play, he would have had to have shown flashes. He may have not been Tayshaun.
Melo would have been Stanley Johnson. He would have been Stanley Johnson.
Probably.
Right.
Man, come on.
No. We're not saying because of the system. It's because of the system.
Come on,
Nick,
man.
you gotta understand it's the system, man.
I understand what y'all saying. I'm not saying what y'all say it doesn't have merit, but at the same time, this is Carmelo Anthony. Like he is gonna compete. He is gonna ball wherever.
You see that now because he went to Denver. If he would have went to Detroit, he wouldn't have had that. He wouldn't have had that quick boost. He wouldn't have had that shit boost coming out to the NBA.
Larry Brown didn't like playing rookies at all.
Thank you. He didn't. He didn't. Melo would not be
ain't no regular rookie. Huh? He ain't Stanley Johnson.
He's not.
He's a Hall of Famer.
But he wouldn't have been on the bench just like Stanley Johnson if he would have
been a 6th, 7th, or 8th man.
Thank you. He would have. And I'm not saying that because of his talent level or anything, Nick. It's just that system playing with Larry Brown, that wouldn't have worked.
You know what? Carmelo might have tried to force his way out of Detroit.
And he didn't listen to Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups told his ass, "Don't go to New York. Stay here." We're like right there.
Right.
Got it. We're like right at our window, and he didn't listen, and it ruined his career.
He ain't ruined nothing. He gave New York a lot of great years. All right. Chill out.
He could have a title, man, with Chauncey Billups and who else was on that team? Was Camby on that Denver team?
I think so.
Man,
That was like the
J.R.
last
Smith.
It was J.R. Smith, Birdman Anderson, Chauncey. Who else? Kenny Martin, Nene. That was a stupid squad. It
was.
And if they would have got to the final, they would have killed Orlando. I think they would have beat Orlando easily.
I agree. I won't disagree with that because Orlando got lucky. Yeah, bad coaching got them to the finals. And I'm talking about the Cavs coach.
That's all I got for sports so far. I mean, ain't much going on, man. Y'all watching all these reruns of the best games and stuff?
Man, I was watching the 79 Bird Magic Johnson title game. Yeah, I was watching that on YouTube. I got halfway through and then I had to bounce. But yeah, it's always so weird, so interesting watching, those teams, man. And then I was watching something, it was Buffalo and Cleveland, maybe, that was on TV the other day. I turned it off. I turned it off. It was towards the end anyway, so I missed the bulk of the game. But I do like watching some of those older games because I didn't get a chance to see like a lot of those guys play. But just seeing it, the court looks so different without a 3-point line. It's just, but they were still getting buckets though, wherever on the court. Those that had that shot. But yeah, I'm gonna watch them. Like I think they had somebody put it in the chat. They had the Monday Night Football games on.
Yeah, that's possible.
I want to watch some old school football games, some old school Super Bowls, like all of that stuff. I think while we're talking, for all of you guys listening, this is actually a good time to really, if you like sports, with all these old games being on and being repeated, go watch some of these games. I know YouTube is this; you can pull it up and watch it anytime and watch the highlights or whatever. But if you can watch some of these games and watch these guys play, like, when they're scoring and when they're not, like watch the game itself, you can really see how talented and special some of these guys were, and not just like their highlight reel, because it's a difference watching a highlight reel versus watching them in a game.
100%. Because you let somebody talk about MJ. MJ never missed a shot in a playoff game.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? But watch the game and you see that MJ struggles just like anybody else. He'll go in the game and be 2 for 12.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Jordan wasn't always perfect. Now he made big plays and stuff, but he wasn't perfect, man.
And that was cool, being a dad. A lot of these kids, you don't think about it, but a lot of people have not seen Jordan play.
Nope. Right. We're at that age now, Shelton, where kids not. I mean, we so used to talking about Jordan and seeing him with other kids when we were growing up. But like now, it's people who was born literally like when he was in the Washington Wizards jersey now. Like, so that shit's crazy. That shit's so crazy.
Yep. And watching it with my son, that was special. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, he of course he's gonna need more than one game to get it, but it's cool for him to be able to actually see it. You can simulate it on the video game, but to actually watch him, like I said, you watch on YouTube too, but to actually watch a game, the intricacies of a game, to see him miss a jumper every now and again, get fouled, or all this little stuff, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching a lot of his college basketball games too. That's been pretty good.
Also, too, if y'all haven't yet, watch that damn Isaiah Thomas Knuckleheads interview. That shit was dope as fuck.
Oh yeah,
that shit was fucking dope, man. God, that shit was dope as fuck. Some gems. Zeke was dropping gems in that shit as usual.
As usual, man. Watch Grant Hill. See if y'all can find some prime Grant Hill games. First 7 years of watch him.
Grant Hill was amazing, man.
I witnessed all that. Grant
Hill was the
truth.
We
just had a sucky team, man. I think Grant Hill made it to the playoffs once with us. I don't know what it was with Joe Dumars in that front office saw, But the second we traded him to Orlando, he started having those ankle injuries, and then he was a wrap. He was never the same when he left Detroit.
Yep.
That shit was crazy.
I remember back in those days, man. There weren't many teams that had two 25-point scorers, and Jerry Stackhouse and Grant Hill.
That was
giving
made the
people
playoffs.
work.
Yeah, that was he made the playoffs.
They would give people work.
Yep, that was.
I would have loved to have seen Jerry Stackhouse and Grant Hill against T-Mac and Vince Carter. That 2-on-2 would have been an awesome boy.
Mm-hmm.
I pay for that.
People forget about that Denver Nuggets team with AI and Melo. They averaged like over 25 both as well.
They sure did. Yeah, they sure did. I forgot about that duo.
And you know what? I watched. Look, since we're going down memory lane, go back and watch the finals of the 76ers and the Lakers. Like it shows you why a lot of people say pound for pound, Allen Iverson was the greatest player. Like pound for pound. Because and even Shaq, like Shaq was talking about it. Shaq said that Allen Iverson was the only little guy that he couldn't intimidate. And when Shaq is 300 some pounds and he could move like a gazelle for the size. And they showed this one play where AI went to the lane, did his thing, got to the lane, he went up, Shaq blocked it, and he started talking smack. Next possession, got the ball right back, AI went straight into Shaq's chest, like, okay, I'm back. So, man, to be barely 6 feet, I've seen him in real life. He's 6 feet is generous for AI.
It's generous.
And he don't weigh nothing, bruh.
$175 at best.
He don't weigh nothing. So for him to go against those trees, to actually win an MVP, to be the leader of a squad and make it to a final, and to have iconic moments.
And to win,
that first game.
To give LA they only lost in that entire postseason.
Yep.
Like, because they almost swept that entire playoffs. And he gave them the only L.
Yep.
Stepping over Tyronn Lue.
Yep. Yeah.
That step over, man, that's going to forever be imaged in my head. But that was one of the greatest games. He that dude, man. That he deserves all the respect.
I don't know if he has a statue yet in front of the Philly stadium,
but he should.
But it needs to be that joke where he's just looking back, stepping over Ty Lue.
That's it.
I think
that's it.
You got to give Dr. J a statue if you don't already.
I think he has one.
I thought
better.
He has to get one if it.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah. I would say he deserved one before Ivo.
That's long over. Wait, hold on.
Because they just.
Hey, can you fact check that? Please.
What? Fact check what?
If Dr. J has a statue, like that shouldn't.
They just in Detroit. They just talking, but they finally talking about going to put a statue in front of Little Caesars Arena, Isaiah. Like I'm like that's way long overdue.
Yeah, they tripping.
Yeah, he got one in Philly in 1989.
Yeah, they
Dr.
did.
J?
In front of the Spectrum, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah. I was about to say, yeah, he definitely. Well, that's the case. Ivo need to get one in. Yeah. The only difference is because Dr. J brought a championship to Philly and Ivo didn't. But Ivo
he played in the Jordan era. So
who, Ivo?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it was tough.
Well, okay, yeah, 96.
He played in that second 3P era.
But I wouldn't consider Wizards the Jordan era though.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to get a little. If you do Allen Iverson, you got to get a little Barkley statue in the back somewhere. Though.
Who?
Barkley need one too.
I don't know. I feel like more his. I feel like Barkley was prime Barkley in Phoenix, in my opinion.
Yep.
100. Really?
Yeah, I feel like in Phoenix, it was like the game slowed down for him. Where in Philadelphia, he was like that was his most athletic because he was smaller than and stuff, so he was fast. I feel like in Philly, he was still a little bit fast. He was slowing down a little bit, but I think his IQ was like way past in Phoenix than it was in Philly.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, that's when the game clicked for him.
Yep.
I was joking about the statue, by the way, but yeah, you're right. That's when it clicked.
That's when it clicked for him. Man, ESPN might show this Bulls documentary since
I was about to say that. I need to see that.
I can't wait, man.
They need to show that shit.
When is that supposed to come out?
It's supposed to originally come out in June. It was originally supposed to come out like during the NBA Finals, but they need to ESPN drop that shit. It's already
pushed it up.
They did, but what date?
They didn't give a date yet.
With all this bullshit content.
Dude, release that shit now. They might as well. I don't know why. Like release it now.
I think they wait until close to the time. Because if they do it right now, the time between sports and now is still like it'll be big now, but nothing for a minute. So I think they're trying to get it closer.
They're gonna probably have the most ratings that they ever have if they release this shit now.
It will. So that's why I think they're waiting.
Everybody gonna be watching that shit. Everybody.
but it has no date. It don't say when at all. It does not say. They just say they're hinting at an early release, but they don't say when.
It has to drop this upcoming April. Like they would have to just drop it between that month.
Oh, you know what? I just saw in the chat. Yeah, I still haven't watched the Jimmy Butler interview, so we'll do that next time.
You know what we should do next recording? Since there's not a lot of sports going on, we should I remember we talked about doing this like a couple of months ago, was pick our favorite player from each NBA team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Let's
can
do that. I mean, it ain't shit else going on, and we got the time. So
we got to. I could come up with some more lists. Like we could do our top.
Yeah, let's do some. Yeah, I feel like this. You know what? Good point. I think this is a good time for us to have like list recordings. Like with sports not being active. I know usually we talk about doing lists, but it'd be so much going on in the sports world. We gotta touch on stuff. But right now, I feel like this is the perfect time to have like list episodes.
All right, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, I gotta get ready. We gotta get ready.
Yeah, we gotta ready for Walking Dead, right? Yeah.
Yep. So but yeah, man, there was guys a lot that we had to just come back and share our quick thoughts on everything that went down, sports, in the NFL mainly, since we had a chance to record last, and we wanted to just go ahead and try to get things feeling like they normal with us recording. I know we record a little bit earlier, but that's partly because we have to do Is the Mic Still On later at 8. So we're going to try to get this thing back on the regular schedule with the 9 o'clock recording maybe, but everything's up in the air as the world is right now. So you guys just, bear with us, and that's it. So that is going to be it for us this week, and we'll be back next Monday. So we'll catch you guys next time. We out.
Hey.
Hey.